Over the years, this industry has moved so fast and it's so dynamic.
We collect a lot of data and we have to parse it down, disseminate it, because we don't have the facilities, the programs, the technology to really utilize all the data all the time.
Different types of technology, artificial intelligence, and those type of things helping us derive information from that data and get answers. But as we talk about reality capture becoming more available to everyone, and for Leica, that's Reality Cloud Studio. You can see the beautiful meshes, how we can work with it, the different viewing, create movies. But really, the goal here is it's making the data instantly available from the sensors.
We are able to, through control and process, use our mobile mapper to get sub 5 millimeter accuracy.
Just the amount of data, the completeness of the data really allows engineers, professionals to overcome some of the biggest challenges we're presented with in projects.
It's relationship and partnership.
You know, it's your vision and imagination that's what makes this possible. Because I think we always have to continue to learn if we're going to advance ourselves, if we're going to continue to innovate and drive the market forward. And what is it that excites you about the future of reality capture? From a price point, size, the simplicity of use, it allowed us to get reality capture into the hands of so many more people, hundreds of more people. Doesn't matter if you've been in this industry for 15, 20 years, or you've been in the industry for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of future direction of what we'll do in reality capture. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying the conference. It's great to be part of the RCN conference again this year for the 3rd year in a row. Congratulations to Matthew and team. This conference also is a great opportunity to really explore all the latest technology and begin to understand that innovation of what's really driving reality capture forward. And today is going to be interactive. I know everyone had lunch about an hour ago. We've also just sat through a panel. So I want to ask everyone to get their cell phones out, a tablet or a laptop, because we're going to take some polls. Because not only do I want you to hear from us today, because I'll also have a customer joining me on stage in about 10 minutes, but we want to hear from you. Where do you see reality capture going? What are your challenges and what are your needs from the manufacturer? So to get this started, let's just get a quick check and see who we have in the room with us today. So the first question is, without using your title of your job, tell me what you do. And we're going to get to see these results in real time. So be creative, don't hold back, and hold. Cells and sensors building survey. Ah, nice. Good, nice to see some answers coming in. I think we did have a Wi-Fi delay there. But you know, really what we see when we think about reality capture, based on all the input coming in here, right? There's just a huge variety of people in industries and professions that are starting to use this technology. And I think that's a real exciting part to what we're doing in this industry of reality capture. So we're going to go to another poll. And this one is, describe your experience in laser scanning. So you could be just beginning, you could be considered what you think is a point cloud expert, a reality capture expert, or you can consider yourself as just learning. We can see the results are coming in here, and a lot of people are just starting to learn. Good opportunity here. We see that a lot of people are experts. So, but it really shows us where everyone's at. Doesn't matter if you've been in this industry for 15, 20 years, or you've been in the industry for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of future direction of what we'll do in reality capture. So on that last slide, we talked about where we're at with reality capture. And for myself, I put myself in that middle category of an expert, but I also put myself in that third category that I'm still learning, because I think we always have to continue to learn if we're going to advance ourselves, if we're going to continue to innovate and drive the market forward. So for those that don't know me, I know that I've seen many people here already know. My name is Josh Rayburn, and I'm with Leica Geosystems, manufacturer of a lot of different reality capture sensors. And over the years, this industry has moved so fast and it's so dynamic. When you look at the picture behind me, you know, we can see what's changed just in the last 25 years. On the left-hand side, this big, huge scanner, you know, that we think about the work that we do today in a matter of hours would have taken days to complete. or actually you wouldn't have been able to complete some of those type of projects we complete today. Fast forward, a lot changed between there and the middle picture. We started being able to scan in full dome windows. We was able to scan in full horizontal views as well. Things sped up, things got smaller, things got lighter. But the technology, the innovation from all the manufacturers really drove us forward. And the scanner in the middle is our RTC360. So when we launched this in 2018, it was a huge leap forward in innovation for what we've done in scanning. It had the ability to do 2 million points per second. It brought visual slam forward in what we refer to as viz. And it allowed us to start tracking the scanner through an environment. And it took away the bottleneck of the registration process in the office. And to the far left-hand side, talking about this industry being dynamic and fast changing, that is the BLK360 Generation 2. We launched the first generation in 2015, and it was the smallest, lightest scanner in the industry. And it really changed who began to have access to reality capture. We started being able to get point cloud data and sensors, because of the price point, into the hands of hundreds and thousands of people. And in June of this year, or June of last year, I apologize, it's been a quick year, we launched the Generation 2. And now it's even smaller, it's even lighter, and just over the size of a soda can. So it's amazing of where we went to. So, but we haven't stopped there. We have a lot of other technology that I'll also brief you on. So you've probably seen Spot with BLK Arc, which is the sensor on the front of the robotic dog, walking around the venue already for the past 2 days, as well as the BLK to Fly. And we launched these in September of 2021, but we haven't stopped innovating against these products. There's been new capabilities, new integration, new firmware that advances workflows and new capabilities. When you often see the BLK Arc, you often see it in all of our photos attached to Spot like you do here. But it's become a sensor that can be integrated on almost any type of platform and robotic carrier. It's now on 3 additional quadrupeds. It's on boat vessels. It's on concrete printing arms. It's on track systems, wheeled systems. And it's unimaginable of where we'll be in 2 years with this sensor. And the BLK to Fly, our last innovations with it came just 2 months ago. And it's always been an outdoor flying scanner, the ability to capture photos and point clouds of structure, buildings, bridges, whatever that may be. But bringing it indoors allows us to now scan without GNSS, and it uses the visual-based SLAM system on board to maintain that data. And you can actually start outdoors and actually fly it through doors and actually continue indoors and have an all-inclusive outdoor and indoor data set. So it's really the sky's the limit of where reality capture continues to innovate across this industry. So if you haven't seen it this week or actually seen the BLK to Fly, actually working inside here like in this video, a couple of my coworkers, Bruce Bowditch and Frank Colazzo, are here this week. Please stop by and see them and talk to them about the different technology that we have up in our exhibit area. So when we think about autonomy, there's a lot of different things we can do around robotics, but autonomy can also happen in how we're automatically triggering systems to take action based on geolocation, speed, and much more. And that's what we done with mobile mapping back in May of last year when we launched the TRK 500 and 700. And it's already having a significant impact about what can be accomplished in a single day's work in mobile mapping, going above and beyond anywhere we've been in the last 10 years. So whether it's transportation, railroad, airports, surveying, engineering, the variety of applications are limitless. But we didn't stop there. So just a few months ago in June of this year, we also released the TRK 100. And it brings all the same capabilities, but continues to be in a smaller package, a lighter package, but it's going after a different market and also a different budget range from a price point. It now brings from a price point, it makes it more accessible by more people to do mobile mapping capture with all the same functionalities that you get in the high-end systems. So it's never been easier to enter into the mobile mapping world. Next is the BLK Pulse. So this is one of the latest innovations from a hardware standpoint from Leica Geosystems. And we actually announced this at Hexagon Live in June as a technology announcement. So here's a quick video of the product. There is sound of the video, but I don't think the speakers are on, so sorry. So what this is doing is advancing the BLK to go into a different type of handheld and allowing us to capture in different ways at different ranges with different accessibility of the information at hand. So I'll go ahead and skip forward since the sound's not with us. But what you can see here is it's carried very similar to the BLK to go. The only difference is the iPhone that you see clipped to the top of it, which you can see on the screen here. And this gives us a very first person type of scanning. It actually holds the same field of view as the human eye. So as we think about moving this system and looking at the camera, it's seeing what we see. So if you think about taking your phone out of your pocket and capturing a video, and if you want to see something over here, you turn your phone over here. It's the same type of capabilities with the BLK to go, but it's using photogrammetry. It's using Grand Slam technology that we first released in 2019 with the original BLK to go. And it gives you immediate access to your information. So there's no processing of the data. There's no time for colorization. There's no time for actually creating those spherical photos. When you stop scanning, it's instantly available. And with a push of a button on the phone, you can send it in the cloud for processing, visualization, collaboration in a matter of minutes. So it was actually on the site at Energio last week. We actually hope to have one here this week, but unfortunately, shipping did not play in our favor. But we will have them available through Leica Geosystems and our resellers in the coming weeks for you to look at. So we've talked a lot about hardware, and we have a lot of office software as well. But as we talk about reality capture becoming more available to everyone, it's how do we manage it? And how do we make it more accessible to more users? And for Leica, that's Reality Cloud Studio, powered by HXDR. So this is Leica's cloud application for reality capture for all of our sensors and sensor agnostic, meaning it can accept data from other sensors as well outside of Leica. And it became available in June of this year. So here's a quick video that starts to explain a lot of the different capabilities. You can see the beautiful meshes, how we can work with it, with the different viewing, create movies, and so much more inside of this product. But really the goal here is it's making the data instantly available from the sensors. From any of our BLK sensors directly from the app, you can push the data to the cloud. It can actually begin the registration process for you. It can also start creating the mesh for you. So this is making reality capture data more accessible to more people. It's allowing us to start to create automation in the workflows in regards that we can be scanning in a project and each scan is feeding the cloud and it's completing the registration for you along the way. It gives us more connectivity so we can actually allow more stakeholders to have access to the data in real time, as well as compatibility. Like I mentioned, a lot of the Leica sensors can immediately upload data to the cloud, but if any sensor that you have creates an E57 file, it can also go into this platform. So our goal here is to unlock the power of reality capture to more and more professionals in the years to come. So with that, I got one last poll before I invite my guest speaker on stage. But of what I've spoke about so far, what do you see as what will transform your work and your industry? Is it products like drones, like the BLK to fly? Is it the move into robotic sensors? Does it continue just to be terrestrial scanners or handheld and wearables? But there's just so much going forward with innovation in reality capture. Wherever you land on this list, I think what the important thing is as you advance, as projects become more challenging, you'll always have the option to have the right product to do the job and complete the task at hand. So looking at the answers, wow, nice to see. Excellent. So with that, of course, all this power of the technology, the innovation that gets created from the manufacturers, and how it's used by you and other professionals, it's your vision and imagination that's what makes this possible. So I'm thrilled to have with me today Bryan Merritt from Langan. So Bryan is a recognized expert in the field of reality capture and surveying, and he's here to continue to discuss why innovation matters with reality capture and how we continue to push that envelope and where we will take it next. And Bryan and I have known each other for some time, and thinking back to a conversation we just recently had, I mentioned earlier that I've been in this industry for over 20 years, but I didn't realize up until yesterday that Bryan actually is 3 or 4 years actually longer than I am in this industry. So I think it is safe to say that he's seen a few changes over his career. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the photo, the Cyrax. Early on, I remember lifting that 75-pound beast into the yoke and trying to get all the cables and 10,000 pounds of battery. It was just a beast. But when we first started looking at scanning, our first review of a scanner was the Mency scanner. So I don't know if anybody's even heard of the Mency scanner, but it was a long tubular thing. It was quite another machine, and the Cyrax kind of took over that a little bit. So yeah, I've been around a little while.
That's good to hear. So while you have been around reality capture for some time, can you share with everyone kind of what your current role is today at Langan and what you focus on around projects?
Sure. So my role is, I'm a surveyor by trade, but I deal in the geospatial side of everything. And as a consultancy, we're there to solve problems, whatever those problems are for our clients, and to implement the right tools and processes, whatever they need, whether it's, a nice BLK to fly or a 6-foot ruler. They all work, but what's the best for your outcome? So that's really my role at Langan.
Good to hear. So it's safe to say you have a lot of different tools in your toolbox.
Yes.
That's whatever provides the best answer.
Yes, exactly.
Good. Well, now that you've shared a little with the audience about yourself, can you give us an overview of Langan?
Sure. So Langan is a ENR top 50 engineering firm. So we have about 1,600 employees worldwide, about 45 offices. We're international, and we cover a great deal of stuff. And I like to say we do the weird stuff. We do some really complex stuff. We do the everyday stuff, but we're lucky enough to be engaged with some pretty reputable clients. Some we can talk about, some we can't talk about. And it allows us to utilize the technologies that to apply to our problem solving. So one little snippet that I like to say about the firm is, if you can imagine the 10 top tallest buildings, the top 10 tallest buildings in the world, Langan has designed the foundations on 8 of those.
Oh, wow.
So we get around the world and we get to do some weird stuff.
So you got a lot of interesting projects, so to speak.
We have a lot of interesting projects. Absolutely.
Good. So I know that this video has shown us some different technologies that Langan utilizes, like mobile mapping and drones. But what haven't we seen in this video? What other technologies are you currently using?
So we're integrating a lot more on the digital solution side, so that the actual software and the integration with AI, which is just a whole nother thing that is coming really hard and really fast. So giving the client the ability to manage an asset for an entire life cycle, that's where innovation is starting to come, especially in reality capture, because that's what everything is here. Everything you see is an asset.
Right. So we've spoke about all the different technology you use. We spoke about Langan, but how long has Langan been involved with reality capture?
So Langan, not as long as I have.
Okay.
But Langan got involved with reality capture probably around the same time you did, early 2000s, like 2003, and really wanted to be at that forefront, that entry level of technology, to be that point of the spear to get in first and become that resident expert.
Excellent. So now we're going to turn it back to you, the audience, and I ask you to take a moment and weigh in on what you see as your biggest demand for reality capture. You know, I know that we have a pretty broad audience from one of the earlier questions I asked. So I think it's, good to understand that, if we have a general contractor, they're going to have a different type of, need or demand than someone in an industrial space or a surveyor. But let's see what kind of some of the results come back as. So we have accuracy, digital twin, production tracking, instant results. I like that one. I would have to say that that's something we all strive for every day that we talk about developing next. So a lot of good words are coming up here, right? And I think that in general, it kind of starts to set the tone of what we hear a lot in reality capture, things that we need, challenges that we have ahead of us. And it really starts to set some key trends, right? Obviously, the big pop out there of existing conditions, accuracy, really are starting to play a bigger picture with the feedback coming from the crowd. And it's great to see. I mean, there's just a variety of things going on that just shows us really how advanced reality capture has become and how much different professions it's touching our lives. So next will be another trend question. And this one's going to be multiple choice. So if you'll notice, there is other at the bottom. So if you don't see what fits as an answer for you, select other, and you can actually input your information on the next screen. So understanding the value, data management, budget and cost, project control. Let's go ahead and go to other and see if we get any other types of good answers. So again, to fit with the last question, what are your challenges in reality capture that you didn't see as an option in the last multiple choice question? Oh, sorry, advanced too fast. Open data standards, storage, qualified users. So talking about qualified users, Bryan, is this something that you all also have challenged with? Do you do any type of internal training to advance people? How do you manage that?
So I think we all have that problem. Quality staff, quality training, the ability to train is all very difficult to implement. So we have pretty rigorous training, and luckily as a partner with Leica supports us as well in a lot of our trainings. So we do both internal and external trainings, but finding that staff quality or a staff that has aptitude. That's what you need. You need aptitude. We can train them to do everything or anything, but you need to find someone with the right aptitude and watch them shine.
Thank you for that input. So moving on from the audience questions, we've heard from the audience now a lot about what the biggest demand is for reality capture. But I would like to turn that over to Bryan from you. Sure. So where is Langan seeing the biggest demand?
So I think we've all seen a mass reduction in existing space. What do I mean by that? Since COVID, have we seen office spaces reduced? How many malls are still in existence or reduced? So what do we do with that space? So adaptive reuse is, I think, where we see reality capture really have an impact, because in all those spaces, they don't know how much space they have. They don't know what the assets are. They don't know what to do with it. How can we design it? We all know that existing conditions, or old school term as-built, are terrible or non-existent. So we don't know what we don't know. And so how do you repurpose this space to make it multifamily?
Right. It's good to hear. So kind of sticking to a little bit of the challenge side, I think as a manufacturer, we're always trying to think about how we have more widespread adoption of reality capture. And even hearing from our customers and the different users in the industry, It's also how do they get more widespread adoption across their client base? And can you share some details around that about what you see as some of the obstacles or ways to actually get more widespread adoption?
Right. And I think a lot of the folks in the question and, to the audience hit it. The perceived expense or cost or fee is a big is a big thing to our clients. But I think we have to all deal with what I call data waste. We collect a lot of data, and the management side of that, we have to parse it down. We have to disseminate it because we don't have the facilities, the programs, the technology to really utilize all the data all the time. So I think that's, one hurdle. We got to get some of that software up faster and easier and better.
So is there, thinking about, that value and thinking about the data, the sheer size of it, how much we're collecting, how we're then kind of somewhat, bringing it down to only get a single answer. Do you see that there's, more value in the data in the kind of the capture once, use multiple times?
Absolutely. So it's one trip. We get to do one trip. We capture it all and then we walk away. And then we can go to the comfort of our office. So it also brings in that safety requirement as well. So you're not out, if you're doing some outdoor scanning, you're not out in the environment or indoor scanning in a construction environment. You're not in that environment all the time.
Right.
So it lends both ways.
So I think that that's something that we see from a lot of experienced people in reality capture is that, collect once, use multiple times. But I think it's also sometimes a challenge when we start speaking to the client base, right? And trying to express that value. Is that something that you've been able to kind of grow across your client base and they're starting to see that value? Or do they kind of still default back to just get my answer and not looking at the additional use cases?
Yeah, a few small clients are really starting to embrace collect once or give me everything, and then we'll a la carte information as we need it. But it's still highly driven in our case by a project by project, client by client basis currently.
Right. So we went through quite a few questions. You've shared a lot about Langan and yourself. We've talked about a lot of the technology that you use. And a lot of that technology is from Leica Geosystems. And, why is it you rely on Leica for this technology?
It's relationship and partnership. We've been able to work with Leica for many years, and you need to partner with whatever manufacturer you're going to use and not just buy stuff from them. You need to partner with them. We have a working relationship very strong with Leica. We have, we see improvements. We need this, we need that. And we have this open dialogue, and you need to have that open dialogue with whomever you use. And we've been lucky enough to have that partnership with Leica, as well as we're pretty pleased with the quality of the equipment, the data that we get from it. You've heard our cries.
Yes, we have.
We're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, but things have gotten smaller, things have gotten easier, and that's what drives everything. And if you don't give feedback to whoever manufacturer or software provider you use, that's a fault of you to help them improve to make your life better.
So, and as Bryan says that will be an opportunity at the very end to give all the input you desire, just so you know. But, here recently, just over the last month, Langan has made a significant improvement in advancing their mobile mapping technology into the latest TRK 700, as well as actually starting to take their 3D world underground with the stream ground penetrating radar. So, why now and why these systems?
Right. Well, a couple things. The TRK, you heard us. We needed to make the Pegasus smaller and easier to use.
That we did accomplish.
And that was a huge accomplishment. So that, making the equipment easier to logistically use, as well as through the technology use, all those improvements will start to make us able to diversify what we do with the equipment. Years ago, the Pegasus, it was used, we need to do 100 miles of roadway, and that's what it's good for. It's like, okay, now we can do small parking lots and things and really collect a lot of data. So it's now making the ability to use the technology in more facets. And then the Stream DP, which is just a really, really cool piece of equipment. If you haven't seen it, it's laser scanning underground. It is really, really cool. And we're excited for that one.
Yeah, it is interesting. And that whole idea of laser scanning underground, right? And it's taking that radar data and creating it into what, is like a point cloud. And then, kind of different types of technology, artificial intelligence, and those type things helping us derive information from that data and get answers. And kind of talking back to that artificial intelligence, where do you see the benefits of artificial intelligence leading us in reality capture?
Yeah. Knowledge, but also be careful. Don't rely on it. You have to add your own smarts to AI because it may spit out an answer to you and it may be ridiculous. It might. So you got to be careful. But AI is improving speed. And we'll talk about that in a minute. With that photo up behind me, there's a lot of AI that incurred in there. So
excellent. So yeah, I know that AI has the ability to really change our industry, right? I mean, it's changing our personal lives, right? I mean, what Absolutely. It can do from just taking a picture on your phone and those type of things. But I think with AI or just in general, a lot of things, we have to use caution. We got to use our knowledge. We got to do the QA QC type stuff.
Yeah. And where it's stored. Okay. Once you use AI, it's out there. So if you're dealing with, non-disclosures or confidentiality, things of that nature, you got to be careful.
Right. So before we move on to start talking about this picture you've seen on the screen now for the last 5 or 7 minutes, I do have one other poll. I'm going to ask the audience. And what is it that excites you about the future of reality capture?
Historic.
Some good stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Single source of truth. I like that one.
That's interesting.
Object recognition, underground historical buildings. So there was one that caught my eye there though, and it was everyone using it. And from a manufacturer standpoint, I would like to add a little bit to that. But like when we look at the BLK product line, especially the BLK360, I mentioned earlier, from a price point, size, the simplicity of use, it allowed us to get reality capture into the hands of so many more people, hundreds of more people. So I think that we are approaching that, right? Cloud-based solutions for visualization and collaboration, because as we get everyone using it and we make that more widespread adoption, we have to have it more accessible. And I think that's the challenge we all have in front of us, and it will really make for an exciting future. So coming back to this picture, it's been on the screen for some time. And what, I think it represents something that's quite captivating, right? I mean, look at this structure, what this facility must be, the challenges behind such a project. So, Bryan, can you kind of walk us through what this project was to Langan, challenges you may have had, and how you overcome them?
That happened to us on this project more than once, so that's okay. So this is the U.S. Air Force Academy Cadet Chapel, built in like 1962, modernist architecture, and it's going through an 8-year rehabilitation. So why is that? Because it was covered in asbestos. It was all asbestos. So they're removing in the process of stripping it down its entirety. And as I stated earlier, we don't know where the structure is. We don't know where the gussets plates are. We don't know where any flange is. So how is the structural designer supposed to design a new skin for this church? So we were brought into the project to try to help them with that. And the structure itself is about 150 feet high, 300 feet long, 90 feet wide, can hold 2,000 parishioners.
Wow.
So it's not a small structure, and it's made up of about 100 tetrahedrons. And then those are all placed together. And so we had to go through a whole planning process to try to figure out how to get up to 150 feet and scan and get accuracy. We were looking for about 5/600ths of a foot in accuracy because of what the material they're going to skin this thing with. So we fabricated a bunch of stands that could go onto the tubular steel. We fabricated some more stands to go on the exterior of, they actually built a building around the church to protect it while it's going through rehab. So there's a building around the building. So one thing we found out in our process, as we did some scanning from the exterior building, so you can see that on the left picture there. So we would clamp a P40 to the structure. Well, that structure moves. And it's like, So we spent a lot of time trying to register and put things together. And we talked a little bit about AI. We actually partnered with a modeling company from the Netherlands. And we were able to model with them every structure, every tube, everything. And we saw that the tubular steel cross members, which are supposed to be flat, actually deflected by 5 millimeters in the center.
Wow.
So we got some really cool results.
So, yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of reality capture, right? I mean, it's an everyday tool, but I think that one of the things that got me into reality capture, one of the things I continue to hear about it is just the amount of data, the completeness of the data really kind of allows, engineers, professionals to overcome some of the biggest challenges we're presented with in projects.
Right. Got another one down towards my hometown that I'd like to share with you if we could.
Okay. Yes. So when we started getting together working on this presentation and this slide come over, I have to say I was a bit jealous of this project. So I'm a huge F1 fan. But what you all have done here, actually I was down there in May. I actually just set a couple sections to the left of where this photo was taken. But, this project, this venue, what Miami and Langan has been able to become part of and bringing a new circuit to the F1 race calendar is really exciting. And if you would, share some of the details around this project as well.
Sure. Yeah. So this one is a little different than everybody's pretty much around this conference. This was used with our Pegasus mobile mapper. So the initial goal was we had to map and model the track or the track where the track was going to be to 5 millimeters. So outdoors, pavement, grass, everything, they wanted 5 millimeters. And why did they want 5 millimeters? Because they overburden when they build the track and then use a micro milling machine uploaded with our data to really refine the final top coat of the asphalt, because you don't want 220 mile an hour hitting a 5 millimeter bump. It's just not a good thing. So as you can see in the one upper left slide, we actually had an argument with the design engineers because we merged two of our different scans together and they said, oh my gosh, the contours differ by 9/1000ths of a foot. Okay. It's like, really? It's like, you asked for 5 millimeters, we gave you 2.7. So is that not good enough for you? So we were able to, through control and means and methods and process and procedure, to use our mobile mapper to get sub 5 millimeter accuracy.
That's great to hear. And 2 years running.
2 years running.
200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Over the surfaces you've created. Well, thank you, Bryan, for sharing this information on these two exciting projects, complex projects, exciting projects at that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And the very last part is coming to what I mentioned earlier, your ability to have some input. So as we come to a close, I know that we're a few minutes over, Bryan and I want to thank you for your time, but this is another interactive slide and it's not going to populate the results. So say whatever you want, be nice, be constructive, but it's going to give you an opportunity to have a voice and to be heard from us, the manufacturer, about how can Leica better serve you, our customers, or a potential customer in the future in a more relevant manner, whether that's overcoming challenges, support, the goals and things that you need in workflows, whatever that may be, please share it. And I'll leave this poll open for some time. You can submit multiple times, but my goal is to hear from you and allow those to feed that information back into our development teams. And for me, my first goal will be on Saturday morning when I'm having my coffee, read through it. And really hear what you have to say. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you, Bryan, for joining me.
Thank you.